I recently read a great article by Eric Kurtz on the site Control Alt Achieve, talking about how to create equations within a Google form for free. I like the idea. I wanted to build upon it and use it for my teachers. So what I have here is I'm going to break down an entire quiz that I created. It's a one question quiz, show you all the little tips and tricks that I put into it to kind of flesh this out and make it pretty powerful, I believe, for students. So I created a Google form, just titled it One Question Quiz. My first question here is I'm asking for their name. I want them to include their first and last name. Here's a little trick with that. I made it required. I turned on both the description to say please include first and last name. I also included response validation. So they have to include a space. If there is no space, then they're going to get an error message saying please enter a first and last name. So that's my first little trick. That little /s means that it needs to have a space in this expression. So then I put a question in here for period, as well as making that required. I then put in my question where it's going to have an image underneath it showing the problem, and I put in my different choices. And then I'm also including a question on here where they have to do a file upload. And I have it set to a specific file type. It's going to be an image so that when the students are on their Chromebook, they're going to take this quiz, they can solve it out on paper, hold it up to the camera, snap a photo of it, and add it to this quiz so that I can see their work. I also made this required. Now you may have noticed that it says point values. So one of the other things I can do with a Google form is when I go up here to this gear, I can turn on some different settings. So under quizzes, I've turned this on to make this a quiz. I want them to be able to get their score immediately after they submit. I want them to be able to see missed questions, correct answers, and point values. I also have here a confirmation message letting them know that based upon what they submit, I will go back in and adjust grades if needed. And now I'm going to explain why that's in there in a second. So I save that. And now what I can do is when I go in and I'm working on a question, so I have my question here and I have my different answer choices, I can go down to answer key and I can set the point value. So this question is going to be worth 5 points. It's a very simple one question quiz, 5 points altogether. This is the only question that gets graded. I select what answer choices are the correct answers. And I can even get given feedback. But before I get to the feedback, since this question has 2 answer choices, when they submit the quiz and they go and see their results, the form is going to grade off of did they give both answer choices. If they give both, they're going to get the full 5 points. Even if they get one wrong and one right answer, it's going to grade them 0. So that's where I have to go back in and manually view, do I want to give partial credit because they got 1 out of the 2 answers correct. So as for feedback, I can give feedback for incorrect as well as correct answers. I didn't feel there was any necessary feedback for correct answers, but for an incorrect answer, I want to make sure that I have some feedback for them, as well as I can include a link. So I have a link to a YouTube video where I solve the problem ahead of time. And so if they get it incorrect, even if they got partially correct, they can still receive this feedback and view that video. Now I'm going to go back and edit my question because now I need to include my image for this question. So the blog post talked about this website where I'm able to create my mathematical equation using mathematical notation. When I first come to this site, I'm going to actually increase the view a little bit so you can see all the different buttons better. So I'm just doing a control plus sign to increase the size. And so I'm going to start building out my problem. So 4, and then it's going to be the square root. So I'm going to click on square root of x. In here is where I put my different terms. So it's going to be t plus 7. And you can see down here it starts to show me what my equation looks like. And I'm going to do equals -8 minus 2t. So this is the equation I want. Now, I could download this image and upload it into my form, but one of the other options Forms allows you to do is to input an image URL. And I can get that by switching here to URL, and I'm going to copy that in. And when I go to my form and I click on I want an image for this question, it's then going to give me various options. I'm going to choose by URL. It shows me what it's going to look like. I hit select, and then I can be able to align it if I need to. If I need to change the image or remove it, I can do that as well. So now, how does this look? So my form is going to load up for me, and the way I have it set up, they're going to be able to enter their name. So if I just put in James, you can see I don't have a space there, so it's not going to accept it yet. So I can put in Kirk, choose what period I'm in. I have my problem here. I'm going to put 2 incorrect answers. I need to add a file. So this is where my camera is going to come in handy. And I'm going to be able to snap a photo of my work. Now earlier I used the camera built into my device and took a photo. So I'm just going to go and add that file. I'm uploading it. There's my photo now attached to this. I can now hit submit. When I hit submit, I'm now going to get my confirmation message to the form, and it gives me that link where I can view my score. So I can go back and see how I did. So I can see that I got this question wrong. Here's what the correct answers are. Here's my feedback. I can click on here to watch a video tutorial. It's a video I uploaded to YouTube earlier. So I have this equation here that I need to solve for t. And then I'm also able to, as the teacher, I can go in and view that work. So let's see what that looks like. So let me go in and view my responses. I have some variety here. I can get an overall summary. I can look at individual questions, or I can look at an individual person's responses. So let's look at James Kirk's quiz. So here's his results. If I needed to, I can adjust the point value here. If he got 1 out of the 2 correct, I could give him partial credit if I needed to. So maybe he got a 2 out of 5. And then down here, I can click on this link and it will open up a new tab showing me the image that he submitted of his work. And that's how you could create a fully fleshed out quiz with feedback to your students, where the students can submit an image of their work, where they can receive a link if they need to watch a tutorial video, and all of those other tricks.